I'm Kristen Korhonoen, and I'm a changemaker.
Why do you think people should get involved with volunteer opportunities in organizations like United Way?
I think it's really important that we give back to the communities, not only where we live, but where we work, which may be one and the same, which is for me. But I think that we all have a role to play in giving back. That can be a small role, it can be a really significant role, but it's important we understand the challenges that our fellow community members are facing and do whatever we can to help them overcome those challenges.
So you've been involved with United Way for a long time and heard issues that communities face all across the country. What are some of the similarities and differences in what you've seen in different United Ways you've been involved with?
Well, I think, and if we think just nationally right now, affordable housing is definitely an issue for folks. Just being able to make ends meet is a challenge for everyone. And we have a pretty tumultuous economic environment right now on both sides of the border, which impacts everybody, regardless of what community you're in. And so I think those would be commonalities across the country.
Tell me a little bit more about the campaign cabinet experience and what is it when you explain it to other people?
So I, first of all, am very proud to tell anyone who will listen that I am part of cabinet, and particularly proud that I have the honor of leading cabinet right now, or chairing the cabinet. But we are a small-ish but very mighty group of passionate volunteers, very passionate volunteers who care deeply about the community. And our role is to really ignite the campaign, whether that's through awareness within people's own workplaces, by getting new workplaces on board, engaging individual donors, whatever the case may be, volunteering in the community. Our role really is to ignite and inspire and help us reach our campaign goals.
Yeah, that's terrific. Another group of volunteers that's deeply connected to United Way are those workplace champions. So people in organizations all across our region who give of their time in their workplace to organize a United Way campaign. Tell me about, when you were sort of on the campaign trail, people you met and campaigns that you saw in action.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been one of those people too. I think that's part of the reason why I'm sitting in the chair that I am today, because I loved doing that on behalf of the Bank of Montreal. But yeah, we've had, some really long-standing campaigns where the infrastructure is in place, but we have people who keep the momentum going. But we also have some campaigns where we've done some really unique and different things. So StarTech.com is one example where we have a very passionate cabinet member who has created videos and created a lot of fun to get his workplace sort of inspired and riled up. We have teachers on board. We have all industries. We're industry agnostic when it comes to raising funds for the community, which is part of what makes it such a special experience.
As you, in your role as chair, you had the opportunity to hear from United Way funded agencies and go visit some, hear from folks that have been impacted by United Way service. Are there any of those stories that really stuck with you this year? Oh,
people who felt there was no hope, like, maybe at a young age or as a teenager or as a young adult. And I'm getting a little emotional, but they just... United Way gave them hope. Yeah.
And that's, I think a really powerful concept. It sounds so simple, but for too many folks in our community, there isn't an opportunity for hope, given their circumstances. And those United Way funded agencies and programs are often the place where they find that. And I often hear them talk about those agencies as their home.
Yeah, very much so.
That's where they feel safe. That's where they get supported.
Well, and I think is Melissa, am I remembering her name correctly, who spoke at the donor event last fall, and we heard her story. And then when she put up the picture of her and her daughter, I mean, she never thought she would get out of the situation she was in, let alone be a mom. I mean, that to me was just so powerful.
So campaign always kicks off at the 3M Harvest Lunch, which is a big event held, one here in London, one in St. Thomas. The one in London was big. It was outdoors at Covent Garden Market. Tell us about what that experience was like as campaign chair.
It was great. I mean, the energy in the crowd that day was really unbelievable. We really lucked out with the weather. I know it's always a bit nerve-wracking being outdoors, but we had many great speakers, great food. And I just loved that we were downtown and people were walking to the event and people were coming in teams or on their own, but people were just streaming into that outdoor space at the garden. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was great to see people coming from all directions.
All directions,
and, you know, supporting each other and seeing like friends connect and colleagues connect.
Exactly.
Was a really good feeling.
Yeah.
And really, I think it sets the tone for the rest of the campaign. You work in the banking industry, lots of numbers in that industry. We have lots of numbers too. Were there any statistics or anything that stuck with you as you went through the campaign?
I think one that even before I was a campaign chair that stuck with me is that 1 in 4 children in London goes hungry, if I'm remembering that correctly. And I think it was actually Faith who shared that. I always had Faith come into a team meeting before I was chair and do a presentation, and I think the whole room just went silent.
Yeah, but people, you know, tend to think of this region as being affluent, and so to hear those statistics can be pretty startling. And one thing about this region, I think, is we have poverty is really dispersed through the community, which means it gets hidden, I think, a little more easily than it does in other communities. So,
and you don't even have to be a parent for that one to hit home.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody who's interested in starting a United Way campaign in their workplace?
First of all, it's extremely rewarding. And I have been a workplace champion in a headquarters role in Toronto. I ran it for the region when I was in Alberta. I've done it in Greater Ontario for the bank as well. It's an amazing way to bring a team together, you know, and to really rally behind an important cause. You know, our purpose at the bank is very much aligned to business and life. And so this is the life part of that we take very seriously. But, you know, I always have impact speakers in. That's a great way to bring a team together, kind of get them out of their everyday a little bit, get them out of their own heads a little bit, and really be a little bit more in tune to their external surroundings. But I also am a big believer in talking about United Way all year round, right? Like, it's not just the 2 weeks in October, November, or December, whenever someone has their workplace campaign. It could be in the spring. It's not just those 2 weeks. You have to keep it top of mind throughout the year.
And the opportunity to network with other leaders and other industries.
For sure. It's been really interesting. When I think back to last May of 24, we had our initial cabinet meeting. As you know, you were there, and everyone went around the room and introduced themselves. And as I've already said, we have people from a whole myriad of industries, but this year we had people who are also retired, been wanting to give back, and I thought that was amazing. It didn't matter what industry, what job, working, not working. The common theme was passion for the community, and it was just resounding in that room. And so that's been incredible.
So you have a year of experience as campaign chair. You're in it for another term. What have you learned in this past year, and what adjustments do you think you're going to make to propel us forward?
Yeah, it's crazy to think we just wrapped up with our celebration at the end of March, and our first meeting is in the first or second week of May, which is really exciting. We have a little bit of a smaller cabinet this year, which I think is going to be really powerful, because what I heard from some of the cabinet members this year is connections with one another is something that's really important to them. And we're all so busy, you know, people have very busy careers. We're fitting in lunch meetings or evening meetings or volunteer time. And stopping to remember that the connection as a team, to use your term, united, we need to be united too. Yeah. And I think that'll be a bit more of a focus for me, is really bringing people together to operate as a collective and to volunteer in the community as a collective. So I'm excited for that for cabinet this year.
So some hands-on volunteering.
Exactly. Yeah. And from cabinet members I've talked to so far, they're really excited about that idea. So we're going to do some volunteer work as a cabinet. Obviously, we have lofty goals again, but we had a little bit more structure to the campaign this past year in terms of are we kind of reaching those milestones we need to throughout? And people were very receptive to that structure. So I think we'll continue down that path as well.
Yeah. So we have a really strong foundation, and it's just continuing to put that fire in the belly for people. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we see
hard,
that too.
Hard.
Yeah. For, with our board members, with our staff team, that, you come to work every day, or you read, financial reports as a board member, but, pausing for a minute to really reflect on why we're here and why we're here together, and enjoy each other's company, as well as give back to the community.
Yeah, exactly.